The cameras flash. The crowd isn't cheering. They are completely stunned. A professional fighter, a man hailed as the absolute future of the sport, is being pushed out of the arena in a wheelchair. He isn't unconscious. He hasn't been knocked out, but his career is bleeding out on national television. A few hours later, inside a brightly lit airport terminal, the exact same man snaps. A fan holds up a camera. The fighter slaps the phone out of his hand, shattering it on the floor, completely losing his mind. This wasn't supposed to happen. Just weeks earlier, this man was the most viral athlete on the internet. He was untouchable. He was humiliating grown men with his hands down, dancing over their battered bodies, laughing in their faces. So how does a prodigy go from a global sensation to a broken man fleeing an arena in a wheelchair in a matter of minutes? What happens when an internet illusion steps into the ring with absolute reality? He looked like a glitch in the Matrix. When Ben Whittaker stepped through the ropes, he didn't just fight, he performed. He dodged punches by millimeters with his eyes closed. He dropped his hands to his waist. He moonwalked in the center of the ring while his opponents swung at thin air. He treated professional combat like it was a joke, and for a while, everybody laughed along with him. Every time he fought, millions of views flooded the internet. The hype machine was deafening, and Whittaker fed off every single second of it. He started believing that the brutal rules of boxing didn't apply to him. Why would they? He was faster. He was bigger. He was practically a ghost. Opponents looked completely paralyzed by his aura. He would taunt them, humiliate them, and then drop them with blinding counter shots. To the outside world, he was a superstar in the making. But behind the viral clips, a dangerous sickness was quietly taking over. And a few sharp eyes could already see the catastrophe coming. The first major warning sign didn't happen in the professional ranks. It happened on the biggest stage on Earth. At the Tokyo Olympics, Whittaker fought his way to the finals, eventually losing a tough battle to a two-time Cuban gold medalist. Most athletes would be honored to take home an Olympic silver medal, and not Whittaker. On the podium, as the silver was placed around his neck, he snatched it off. He stood there pouting, visibly disgusted, refusing to wear it. It wasn't a display of an elite winner's mentality. It was the absolute symptom of a dangerously fragile ego. He couldn't process failure. When things didn't go his way, his emotions hijacked his brain. As he turned professional, this fatal flaw only grew worse. He became addicted to the roar of the crowd. He wasn't focused on systematically dismantling his opponent. He was focused on entertaining the camera. In fights against heavily outmatched journeymen, if his fancy footwork didn't immediately result in a knockout, he grew wildly frustrated. He got sloppy. He lost his focus. He committed bizarre, emotional fouls. He started acting like a diva who forgot he was in a fistfight. But as long as he was winning, the red flags were ignored. He had no idea that his absolute need to show off was about to drag him into a nightmare he was entirely unequipped to survive. Liam Cameron was not a superstar. He didn't go viral. He was just a tough, gritty, veteran fighter who had walked through the fire. He didn't care about the dancing. He didn't care about the hype. When the bell rang, Whittaker came out doing what he always did. The poses, the feints, the theatrical mockery. For 2 rounds, it looked like business as usual. Then the illusion shattered. Whittaker landed his absolute best shots and Cameron didn't even blink. Instead of retreating, the veteran marched forward. And then he did the unthinkable. He punched the prodigy right in the mouth. Suddenly, the dancing stopped. The confident, mocking smirk completely vanished from Whittaker's face. For the first time in his professional life, the man who treated boxing like a video game realized he was bleeding. Panic set in. Whittaker completely abandoned his elite jab. He forgot his distance. He forgot his world-class training. His massive ego took the wheel, and he tried to brawl on the inside with a stronger, heavier, and far tougher man. By the fifth round, Whittaker was exhausted. He was absorbing heavy shots. He was drowning. The audience watched in total silence as the invincible showman began to visibly break in real time, and then utter chaos. In the final moments of the fifth round, tangled up in a desperate clinch, both men tumbled dangerously over the top rope. Cameron stood right back up. Whittaker didn't. He stayed down on the arena floor, citing a severe leg injury. He claimed he couldn't stand. He couldn't continue. The fight was abruptly called off. A technical draw. But as the medical team strapped the viral sensation into a wheelchair and pushed him out of the arena, the whispers began immediately. Was it a freak accident? Or did a man drowning in deep water just find the perfect excuse to escape the storm? Nobody knew for sure, but it didn't matter. The damage was permanent. The physical pain of the fall was absolutely nothing compared to the psychological destruction that followed. Whittaker's entire identity was built on being an untouchable boxing god. Now he was the guy who got pushed around by a veteran and checked out of a fight in a wheelchair. The exact same internet that built him into a superstar turned on him overnight. The memes were ruthless. The criticism was relentless. And Whittaker proved exactly how unequipped he was to handle reality. Hours later, walking through an airport terminal, a fan approached him holding a camera. Whittaker's fragile mind totally fractured. He aggressively slapped the phone out of the fan's hand, destroying it in a sudden fit of unchecked rage. He was a completely broken man. The kid who wanted all the fame in the world had finally discovered the true terrifying price of the spotlight. Many believed this was the end, but nobody realized what was happening behind closed doors. Whittaker had a choice. He could fade into obscurity as a cautionary tale of wasted talent, or he could destroy his own ego and rebuild from the ashes. He chose the hardest path imaginable. He disappeared from the spotlight. He left the comfort of home. He relocated his training camp to an isolated gym in Dublin under a new, no-nonsense trainer. No distractions, no cameras, just agonizing work. 6 months later, he returned to face his darkest demon, a rematch with Liam Cameron. The critics waited for the clown to return. They wanted to see the dancing. They wanted to see him break again. But the man who walked into the ring that night wasn't an entertainer. He was a killer. There was no dancing. There was no showboating, just pure calculated violence. In exactly 2 rounds, Whittaker systematically dismantled the man who had nearly ruined his career, leaving him battered on the canvas. But erasing one mistake wasn't enough. He needed to prove his evolution to the entire world. Aligning with matchroom boxing, he tore through his next opponents, delivering brutal, viral knockouts without the circus act. He had successfully rebranded himself as the Surgeon. But the ultimate test was still waiting across the ocean. America, June 2026. The Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Making his U.S. debut, Whittaker stepped under the brightest lights of his life against a heavy-handed 35-year-old veteran named Richard Popeye Rivera. The American crowd wanted to see if the British hype train was real or if he would crumble under the New York pressure. Rivera tried to play the spoiler, but he had no idea what he was standing in front of. In the closing seconds of the first round, Whittaker uncorked a devastating right hand that sent Rivera crashing face first into the canvas. The crowd erupted, but the real violence was yet to come. Just 29 seconds into the second round, Whittaker fired a blinding left hook. It landed with a sickening thud. Rivera didn't just fall, he went completely to sleep. The fight was over instantly. In less than 5 minutes, Benjamin Whittaker had completely conquered America. He didn't just win, he sent a terrifying message to the entire light heavyweight division. The internet sensation who quit in a wheelchair was dead. A legitimate superstar was born. But how long could this new focus truly last? Whittaker proved he could rebuild an empire. He proved he could silence his critics and deliver absolute devastation on the world stage. But the stakes are about to reach a level he has never experienced. He is entering a division ruled by absolute monsters, men who don't care about hype, redemption, or highlight reels. To become an undisputed world champion, he has to step into the fire with killers who hit harder than anyone he has ever faced. He has locked away his ego for now. He has disciplined his mind. But when the pressure reaches its boiling point, when he is trapped in the late rounds of a world title fight, bleeding and exhausted, who will he be? Will he stay disciplined and cement his legacy as an all-time great? Or will the ghost of his ego return and force him to self-destruct when he needs his focus the most? The world is watching. The surgeon has arrived. But the most dangerous cuts are always self-inflicted.